day of September 2024. September the 26th, 2024, and I'm going to be your host tonight. I'm Dana Durnford. I hope you're doing well. Unless you're for the nuclear industry, I hope you're fucking drowning somewhere. Excuse the language here. I'm so disgusted with nuclear. What a disgusting industry. What a despicable group of people, isn't it? A couple of million scumbags destroying the planet. They're the worst humans imaginable. 80 years of poisoning everybody, and everybody just sits there and takes it like an idiot, like a slave. There's a small group here that doesn't, but the rest of the world is the victims of a scumbag industry. So, Taiwan, you got to avoid Taiwan now. Taiwan's shipping in food from the nuclear wasteland itself. Taiwan doesn't understand the significance of it. The people that allowed that to happen don't understand that they got to eat food, their children, their loved ones, their friends, their families, so they can have some kind of trade pact with Japan. Poison everybody in Taiwan so you can have a trade pact with Japan. That's a good trade-off, is it? What a disgusting industry. I mean, really, what a disgusting industry. Should you avoid Taiwan altogether? Period. Now that they're poisoning everybody with deadly radioactive food from a nuclear wasteland? I mean, like, what else can you do? What a stupid, what an idiotic, what a moronic industry. An industry of hate. Taiwan will ease restrictions on the import of Japanese food products. No, that's the last of the restrictions. They're not easing restrictions, they're removing the last of the restrictions. The majority of them were removed in 2020 after the referendum from 2018 passed. They didn't have another referendum in Taiwan about the Fukushima food. They just signed a piece of paper, took a suitcase full of cash, and destroyed their country. Your suits. The most evilest thing created besides nuclear is a suit. Everything is not just the food, everything. It's unbelievable. Let's go through the legacy headlines from the original headlines. This one in particular is from Reuters. Just because they look the same color, they're different medias. Top scientists suggest contaminated water is actively being pumped out into the ocean from Fukushima. It's guaranteed. You can't put it in tanks. You're talking about too many sieverts per liter. You can't put that in a tank. And the fact that they have 1,000 tanks is proof they don't put it in a tank because you couldn't build another tank there. The so-called ALP system wasn't even working and began in 2015. The tanks were all full in 2013, according to them. According to TEPCO. And that water was just stuff they pumped up from under the reactors. From an aquifer that's underneath the site. Not from the basements. And how are you going to get close to the basements? How does that work? I don't know how the hell we ever got in this position. Well, I know how we got into it. Greenpeace sold us out. Arnie Gutterson, Helen Callicott, Christopher Busby, Kathleen Higley, Geraldine Thomas from the United Kingdom. All of these people sold you out. Everything in the International Atomic Energy Agency has done everything they can to cut your throat and your children's throat. Everything. At the International Atomic Energy Agency. Everybody at ERPA, everybody at Unsclear, all your universities, the students are coming out, are actual monsters. Oh, we can't send the students in, Dana. They're just students. We can't send them to Fukushima. How many people said that in my comment section before? Quite a few. And I can't comprehend your intelligence, because they're just going to get educated, and the pro-nuclear community 4 years later are going to come out and cut your throat. A professor is somebody you're supposed to fear. It's not that they're brave, it's they're cowards. With every attribute of a monster that you can imagine. Japan experts, contamination in Fukushima is almost irreversible in the coastal sediments. What did he mean by that, almost irreversible? It's irreversible. And every nuclear scientist on the planet knew it. What's interesting is there wasn't a nuclear scientist anywhere on this entire planet Earth that looked at reactor 3 and said the fuel pools in a reactor cores are at the top of the building. Because there is no building. But how many of them came out and told you? How many came out and warned you? How many came out and tried to educate you and inform you? Well, that's right, none of them. Not one of them. How many journalists come out and told you that? Not one. On the entire planet, not one. What does that tell us? You got any idea how far down the fucking hole we are? How late it is? How dark this is? It's the last show of the week. Maybe. It's hard to say with me. I mean, I should only be doing one show a week, but we have an extinction event. All I can handle is 5, unfortunately. I should be doing 7 shows a week. Like green starlight, highly contaminated marine snow covers the seafloor at least 2,000 kilometers from Fukushima. Nuclear scientists, oh, it's like a banana. Go back to sleep. Haha. Don't worry, we'll take care of your kids. They'll be the first one to cut your throats when they get out, too. Tokyo has the 3rd highest cesium levels of all testing locations throughout Japan. 240 kilometers away. Large amounts of radioactive dust. Like, this wasn't just a dusting. The air was 170 times higher with cesium in Tokyo than global weapons fallout peak, which is an actual nuclear war. Nuclear weapon is a nuclear weapon. Radioactive fallout is the same thing, whether it's a test or a nuclear war. I'm almost humiliated with how stupid this planet actually is. It was a continuous plume that never stopped coming out. I mean, Medusa, the plutonium mixed oxide reactor 3, just that one reactor is an extinction event for the planet, for goodness sakes. You can count on academics and journalists and scientists to cut your throat. That's the only thing you can count on. That's it. You can't count on anything else except that scientists will cut your throat for sure. They can't wait either. Highly radioactive sewage 30 miles from Fukushima, 334,000 atoms per kilogram of your excrement. You can't get rid of the sediment from the water filtration facilities. You can't get rid of the sewage. You can't get rid of the ash from the incinerators. And the garbage is so radioactive it should have never been burned in the first place. And they're burning it in incinerators. On top of the nuclear waste itself, or they're grinding it up, taking the other prefectures and burning it. I mean, tell me who it is you want to support. I'll give them all the fucking equipment I got. Because I ain't getting it here. I ain't getting the support here, am I? I'm ready and primed to take out this industry. I'm perfect. No fucking fear of this industry whatsoever. I don't give. There's no sense having any fear. First off, you're dealing with cowards. Sharp rise in iodine-131 levels at 3 Tokyo sewage plants. You're supposed to abandon Tokyo, metropolitan Tokyo, with 36 million people. But the nuclear scientists come out and told you it was like a banana, like a potato chip, like walking in the sunshine. You can't get rid of your sewage. You shouldn't be there. And this is Guma. It's unbelievable. The whole story is heartbreaking. And they roll out all these nutty academics for the nuclear industry. And they get incredible support to be a monster. Whatever they want. They can be on every TV station on the planet if that's what they want. There's no hold bars. But if you're trying to educate the population and save this planet, you can go fuck yourself. Press watches as the government dumps radioactive waste into Tokyo Bay. I'm almost humiliated to be a human. The press watches as the government dumps radioactive waste in Tokyo Bay. Ha ha, have a nice day. What are we doing? Are we killing it tonight? We got 10, 12, 14 viewers. I know, I've only been doing the show for over a decade straight. It's called censorship, and it's just the most cowardly thing imaginable. Imagine being a censor at YouTube for the nuclear industry. Imagine how pathetic you actually got to be to get that job. What kind of moron you actually got to be to take that job. Cracks me up. We've been at this a long time with no illusions at all. An industry of cowards in every step of the direction. No matter which direction you go in the nuclear industry, there's 9,000 industries, and every one of them are bona fide cowards. In every sense of the word, too. Iodine-131 levels rise 350 kilometers from Fukushima to sewage plants. The whole country can't get rid of the sewage. And the nuclear scientists are taking your kids and weaponizing them against you and the 8 million species. And you suck it up. You pay for the students to go there and come out and destroy you and your loved ones. How do you get any more messed up than that? They found plutonium in every sample. In every sample. Oh, don't worry, Dana. It's like a banana and a potato chip. Walked in the sunshine and climbing a mountain. They'll say it on TV, but they won't say it to your face because they know better. Incinerating radioactive material can contaminate the environment. Well, you can't destroy it by incinerating it. Why even bother with universities? All you turn out as monsters. You pay for your children to go there and then come out and destroy the planet, and so they can get a good job. Yeah, they're going to destroy the planet. At least they got a good job. What do you mean a good job? Well, they're making good pay. High levels of radioactive material in Tokyo. 170,000 atoms a kilogram in the sewage. Don't worry, Dana. It's like climbing a mountain. It's like potassium. Tokyo neighbor cesium approaching levels found in Fukushima at the Chiba incinerator, which is 20 kilometers from Tokyo. At 70,000 atoms a kilogram in incinerator ash. So these are dirty bombs by the kilogram that they're releasing, and dirty bombs by the kilogram they have left over. So like it would have been probably 4, 5, 6, 7 times that number per kilogram that they actually burnt off back into the environment. If that's not stupid, what is? And they know what they're doing. Well, if we leave it in the garbage, we can't poison people, we can't poison the water, we can't poison the animals, we can't poison the plants, the flowers, the faunas, the 8 million species. So we need to incinerate it to liberate it back into the environment. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. And they know the repercussion for doing it. And they're getting away with it because the world is a coward. This planet is full of cowards. And the academic community is your worst enemy. If there is a history, I'll look back on it and say universities was the worst thing we ever created. A journalist was the most evilest person conceivable. The most loathsome, despicable, hateful, These are terrorists. That's what these people are. Not bandits. These are hideous monsters, nefarious terrorists. They're not fighters. They're not even academics. They're just monsters who take your children and turn them into monsters. Is the government trying to contaminate every region in Japan by burning radioactive debris? And if everyone is contaminated in a relative sense, nobody is. They're trying to contaminate everything over and over and over. When you burn it, you're just liberating it back into the environment. You can't destroy it. So what's going through their mind when they say, yeah, go ahead and burn it? It's not bad or morally corrupt or sinful or villainous or whatever, sinister. These are just monsters. These are terrorists. They look like me and you. That's what an academic is. Fukushima will start burning radioactive waste 100,000 atoms a kilogram to be incinerated. And 1 billion pounds of debris in the exclusion zone. The 30 million one-ton bags they picked up, the homeless and the destitute picked up, academics are not going near it, is also 100,000 atoms per kilogram. That's the criteria for putting it in 30 million one-ton bags. Well, we got 16 people and 16 thumbs up, so you're 16 pretty good people. Bless your hearts. That's the censorship, right? See, if you could see a professor for what they were, you would never let your child go there. 300 times more radiation released into the atmosphere from burning debris than claimed by the degenerate monsters. And they've been doing it for 80 years. 6 in 10 children with diabetes. And the head of the Tokyo area medical clinic says we're expecting diabetes in children from Fukushima radiation. And every nuclear scientist was out there screeching. It was like a banana. It's like a potato chip. It's like walking in sunshine. They're still doing it. 88% of cesium in radioactive ash might be at risk of being transported away from the landfill by wind and rain. Try it sometime. You got a fireplace? Take your ash, go out and put it in your driveway next time you're having a windy, rainy day and see what happens to it. This is just pure terrorism. Oh, he looks so cool, Mommy. You should see him. The professor is so smart. First time since the meltdown, surge in radioactive cesium causes incinerators near Tokyo to shut down. There was 3 people who had heart attacks at this one incinerator on a single day from the radiation they were burning. Don't worry, Dan, it's really cool. High radiation levels near Tokyo linked to Fukushima. What the fuck else could it be? Rain caused 29 million atoms a square meter in the soil. Why would you go back there? How can you go back there? How can you be that stupid that you can ignore that? Do you really think that went away? You think that turned to fairy fucking dust in the morning? Come on. You think this is a game? You're eating food and shipping food to Taiwan and Canada and United States and everywhere else? How can Taiwan? Well, we know how Taiwan. They got all the same scumbags in Taiwan. They got everywhere else. They look humans, but they call themselves professors and they call themselves journalists. Japanese medical expert deeply concerned about the children's radiation exposure. 51% of the kids are contaminated with cesium-137, when the rest of them are contaminated with plutonium and americium and neptunium and strontium, etc., etc., etc. Yeah? Some had clothing indicating high-level gamma rays, because that's what the Geiger counter measures. It doesn't measure alphas and neutrons and betas and X-rays. And if you got high-level gamma, you got high-level beta, gamma, alpha, neutrons, and X-rays. And no matter where you go, their evil is normal. It's normal to be evil. If you're in the nuclear industry, it's normal, because that's who gets the job. Oh, he's a degenerate. Well, let's hire him. Jeez, what are we waiting for? Hire that guy. Japan is burning Fukushima debris 10 miles from the nuclear meltdown. In a nuclear wasteland, liberating it back into the environment. Oh, that's right. They're heroes, right? Oh, Dana, they're professors. They're wonderful people. You're not a professor, Dana. Go suck their fucking arse then. You pinheads. They're the worst humans conceivable. That's what a nuclear scientist, a nuclear academic, and a journalist, the worst humans imaginable. Hundreds ill after Fukushima nuclear plant rubble burned in a major Japanese city, suffering nosebleeds, problems with eyes, throats, and skin. The government says the radiation levels were low enough to be safe. Don't worry, nuclear academics will save you. They'll protect you. They love you. They would never hurt a fly. All they do is destroy, though. That's the reality, isn't it? 70% of the children tested in Kanto region, includes Tokyo, have radioactive cesium. Yeah, and plutonium and americium, neptunium, and strontium. You can't just have cesium. And the students are zombies. By year 4, the students are ready to murder. They're good to go. Murder everything. Almost half of Japan women tested showed a radioactive iodine-131 in the breast milk, coming to Taiwan next week. Highest contamination found 150 miles from Fukushima. No. It was found worldwide. Don't worry, though. Your academics, your nuclear scientists will fix everything. A couple of billion years. They'll get around to you. Radioactive force, they'll take you in the hospital and radiate you and finish you off is what they'll do with you. They'll make you sick with radiation, bring you to the hospital, legally radiate you till you drop dead, particularly your children. And if you don't let them, they'll take your child away and radiate them in Canada. Radioactive force is a permanent risk, must be cut down. I mean, all of Japan is that way. All of it. It's unbelievable. Academics got us into this, and there's zero possibility they're going to get it out because they've done it to you on purpose. Them and their shitty little students. They're little twerps, idiot machines they call students. 170 microsieverts per hour at a Tokyo supermarket. Don't worry, Dan, it's like a banana, says the academic. We have Fukushima polluting the entire Pacific Ocean, and we're talking about how people should be dressed. Influential actors. There was people that warned you for the first couple of years. Where did they all go? There was originally trying to warn you. They didn't tell you everything. They didn't tell you the truth. They didn't explain to you. They didn't say, there wasn't a single academic, there wasn't a single journalist on the planet came out and said, Reactor 3 fuel pool and reactor cores are gone. Period. They're gone. That building was a 19-story building, 190 feet, 65 meters. And the reactor core and the fuel pool with 8 reactor cores at the top of the buildings are gone. And bloop, not one, not a single academic, not a nuclear student, nobody come out and bother telling you. They done the opposite, right? Non-stop. People eating more radiation, but not in danger, says monsters. 96% of Fukushima residents ingested cesium on December the 4th. 56% in Tokyo area. The reactors melted down by day 6. Everybody was puking this up and excreting this stuff. They rolled out a professor, looks like a normal human. Oh, they wouldn't hurt a fly, Dana. Yeah. What's your name again, stupid? Yeah, that's right, stupid. Tokyo is still in danger of being lost and the government should be acting accordingly. Don't worry though, the academics. Don't worry, it's all like a banana, like a potato chip. It's like walking in the sunshine. Everything will be good. Just trust the monsters. Just trust the degenerate monsters who are still there cutting your fucking throat every day. Enormous spread of radiation. The levels are so high in the hills of Lydia that the locals dare not go outside. Oh, that's right. The academics and the students all told us it was like a banana and a potato chip and walking in the sunshine and flying on a fucking airplane. I wish one of them would say it to my face so we'd have one less on the planet. Fukushima radiation may be eating holes in people's brains. Not maybe. That's exactly what's going on. Everybody's got so much radiation in them they just can't think. The fog of nuclear fallout. The atomic plague. Officials are covering up the dire consequences of the crisis. There's worry over the high numbers of cancer. It was 2016. Japan's Cancer Center in 2012, the next year, said they had a spike, an abnormality, an increase of 865,000 extra diagnosed cancer. Not everybody was diagnosed. Not everybody got health care. Cancer isn't any illness or disease or autoimmune deficiency or injury or illness. Don't worry, Dana. Nuclear scientists got your back. They're cool. U.S. bans agricultural fishery products from 14 prefectures in Japan due to Fukushima radionuclides. Concerned that the contamination is spreading to most countries around the Pacific. Concern. There was concern. France's model was based on 31 days. So think of an invisible snowstorm coming into Japan. It never stops snowing. Eventually, it's a continuous snowstorm covering the entire planet after about 30 days. The snow never melts and it never goes away. And it never stops snowing. But think of it as radiation. It never stops coming out. It never goes away. And it's a continuous plume covering the entire planet forever. That's about where we're to right now. And so you got every academic on the planet ready to cut your throat. They'll do it for free too. Taiwan lifts Fukushima-related restrictions because stupid is as stupid does. I never did like fucking Taiwan anyway. They're pretty lazy, pretty complacent, pretty stupid. They're too stupid to fight back. Prove me wrong, Taiwan. Why are you letting them do it? Why are you letting a handful of people do this to you? Poison your loved ones and your friends and your family and your communities forever. Why are you doing that? Why are you such cowards? Why are you so fucking stupid? How can you be so idiotic to sit there and let them get away with this? Why are you letting Japan do that to you? Morons. In February 2022, Taiwan removed its ban on most food products from Fukushima, Ibaraki, Guma, Tochigi, and Chiba prefectures. Chiba is right by Tokyo. Tokyo was banned too. Don't worry, Dana. Taiwan checks their food. And we've covered their checks. They're the most loathsome, despicable scum imaginable. The pro-nuclear community in Taiwan are degenerates. We covered them in 2016, 2017, and 2018 when they had a referendum. And what they done to the population was hideous, the pro-nuclear community. You know, Taiwan's got a really interesting story, actually. after Fukushima, there was around 2,000 alumni, ex-academics from the universities, all the university students and professors and faculty, all the nuclear corporations, all the nuclear power plants. There was over 2,000 of them that spent the next couple of years in every waking moment they could spamming the internet that Fukushima was like a potato chip and Fukushima was like a banana. And I got the headlines there somewhere. I don't know where it's at the top of my head right now. Well, I kind of do, actually. I'm not going to go look for it right now, though. But we believe this is an optimistic step that will help reconstruction efforts in the nuclear wasteland and poison everybody in Taiwan at the same time, permanently, for sure. That's the definition of idiot. It's going to help reconstruction efforts, said moron and monster. Don't worry, Dana. The academics are just checking to make sure everything is hunky-dory. What's crazy about this story, on top of that, was importers will no longer need to file radiation reports for designated food from Pacific regions, including tea leaves from Shizuoka Prefecture, which is way past Tokyo. It's way past Tokyo. And the tea leaf was banned. If you're going to ban the tea leaves, you got to ban everything else. And everybody there should have been evacuated permanently. Because that's how radiation works. Don't worry, Dana. The nuclear academics are checking the food. There's a lot of people out there that shouldn't be on this planet. And a good portion of them works for the nuclear industry. I mean, it's way past Tokyo. The food from all of this was banned by 55 countries for over a decade. And the nuclear industry just replaced the people in those countries with the pro-nuclear and removed the restrictions. Because evil doesn't have a limit on evil. Are you going to go there and check the fish and make sure it's not going to poison your children and your mom and your dad and your grandparents? Your loved ones, your friends, your families? No. Are you going to go buy it and poison your loved ones? Yes. Because you're blind. You refuse, no matter how much evidence I give you, you refuse to take a stand. You know, Japan had 865,000 cancers, but that wasn't just cancers. Extra cancers in the first year. Everybody, hey, so what? I'm invisible. I'm immune to radiation. I'm special, Dana. You're a special fucking idiot is what you are. Dead animals litter the California beaches. Alarming phenomenon. Graveyards of washed up sea life. Influx of malnourished / emaciated sea creatures. The animals are starving to death, covered in sores, stunted growths, collapsed immune systems. But hey, the journalists and the academics will come out and tell you it's like a banana and a potato chip, so everything's great now. I don't know, like originally I've seen so many people use that routine against me. Well, Dana, I read it was like a banana. Like in my own life, I've actually had people say that to me. Way back in the day. All you can do is shake your head and say goodbye. Don't ever talk to me again, stupid. Hundreds of millions of Pacific salmon are missing. Presumed dead. U.S. West Coast, Japan suffering a historic collapse. Fish starving to death. All forms of ocean life dying in stunning numbers across the Pacific. I was on the ocean doing research expeditions for 4 to 5 months a year for 6 years during that period. Their reports are based on my reports. Don't worry though, it's like a banana. How many times we see this? They look like normal people, look like very charming people, very handsome. And you know what they're doing? They don't have any illusions about what kind of scumbag they are. They love it. Their parents were scumbags, their parents were scumbags, their parents were scumbags, and damn it, they're going to be the best scumbags that family's ever produced. Mass die-off of sea creatures from California to Alaska. Animals are starving as the food chain continues to collapse. Mass starvation event plagues the West Coast. Everything I'm showing you is post-Fukushima. None of these abnormalities, these catastrophic events, we've never seen nothing like it pre-Fukushima. Everything's post-Fukushima. All the supercell cyclones and hurricanes and typhoons are post-Fukushima. The 10,350 emaciated gray whales are post-Fukushima. The 7,000 extra on top of the unusual mortality event for the humpback whales all were emaciated. Same thing with the bronze whale, the beaks whales, the sperm whales, the killer whales, the pilot whales. All the species. All the birds are showing up emaciated. The migratory birds. The migratory creatures are not there to feed them. A complete failure of all breeding colonies. This year we've seen a complete failure of the puffins, for instance. One of the few remaining species that are left on this coastline now, they failed too. The 46 million migratory birds didn't show up again. Where do you think they went? They didn't show up in the headlines anywhere. They're gone to heaven, Dana. Because it's like a banana. That's what they do all day, what? It's a big joke. The student comes out of college, they go to their job and they say, let me at him. I'll tell him it's like a banana. I'll tell him it's like a potato chip. That's how they make their money. They get incredible education, come out and lie to you, and that's how they make a living. And there's just herds of these evil degenerates. Herds of them. Massive die-off reported in the Pacific Ocean. There's no fish out there anywhere over a very large area. A total failure in reproduction, like nothing we've ever observed. Alarming, frightening. These are... And the media's, oh, don't worry, because it's like a banana, it's not Japan. 100% death rate of baby seals on the California coast. None survived. All of them were emaciated. Suffering from a shortage of food. Extremely thin / emaciated. All sorts of illnesses, infections. And it's getting worse. Don't worry, the journalists, they're there to protect the nuclear industry. They couldn't give a fuck about you. The only thing they're worried about is protecting the military-industrial complex and nuclear industry. My goodness. And the puffin colonies failed last year. Let me see if I can go find that. Did we cover that? It didn't come out for a couple of months, right? Just bear with me 1 second. I'm pretty slick sometimes. Not really. Let me see if I can find it though. The colonies failed to lay eggs twice. In November, they were still trying to hatch eggs here on the East Coast in winter. They should have been long gone on the migratory route, right? We know they were starving to death in 2016. Let's keep going here. Just give me one more try. I got to dig that headlines up because that's important for telling the story we got to start telling really soon from this year's research. It's funny how life works. You try your best to do things and it doesn't work. No matter what you do, you can't get it to work. But then it all comes together in a different way for you. That's what this year was like. It was a strange year. It'll help us over the next couple of years no matter what, but it was a strange year for me. Everything seemed to go wrong. But we're in good shape for next year, so that's okay. That's the way it goes some years. You can't win every year, no matter how hard you try. I'm not finding the other headlines, so don't worry about it. Let's keep going. Puffins are starving to death, incredible numbers. What happened here was last year, the puffins, all the colonies failed here in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Newfoundland, and the Atlantic. There's nothing left in the Pacific. We've done that for 6 years. LA Times, ongoing fish famine along the U.S. West Coast, the dearth of the food across the ocean. A fishery implosion. 2016, I was on the ocean doing research expeditions at that time. And the media was up cutting your throat, man. Can't be radiation because it's like a banana, Dana. West Coast bird die-off is the biggest ever recorded. The stomachs are completely empty. Unprecedented in size, scope, duration. Never seen anything like it. A host of other freakish phenomenons. And what happened was you had 1 million. I'm not sure, it was 1.4 million common murres, which dive 600 feet all day and feed on anchovies and squid and sardines and krill and that. And you had 1.1 million Cassini auklets, or vice versa. But anyway, the Cassini auklets, they feed on microscopic animals. So you had millions of one species that feed on fish and squid and everything about this big. And you had another 1 million birds, migratory birds, the Cassini auklets, that were migrating to Australia. And they, of course, never showed up because they showed up on the west coast of Pacific coast across from Japan in Canada and the United States, emaciated. So you had two different spectrums of the food chain, right? From species eating species this big that dive 600 feet all day and do it, to the surface skimmers, which are eating the phytoplankton, the zooplankton, the copepods, and everything else, the small microscopic animals. So you had 1 million of at least each of those show up emaciated at the same time. That's a broken food chain. That doesn't come back. And this is why we went on the research expeditions for 6 years to see if the species came back. Here's some journalists. They're really nice people. They're pretending they're in a building that don't exist to fuck you over.
Where I was standing is on top of what used to be reactor building number 4. The whole of this building was blown apart by a huge explosion.
We are here inside Reactor 4 at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant that was severely crippled during the earthquake and tsunami of 2011.
Of the decommissioning work taking place here in Reactor 4.
At the end of our tour, we were checked for radiation exposure. In 4 hours, I received the equivalent of less than a chest x-ray.
1,500 highly radioactive fuel rods inside this pool. They've got to move them outside of this reactor.
They love you so much. They put an incredible amount of effort into fucking you over. It's hard to appreciate how evil it is to do what they just done. Pretending they're in a building that don't exist so you can't protect yourself. Taiwan probably loves them. Taiwan's like, they're our best friends. Oops. Where the hell did that go? That had to go this way. Because whenever I turn the volume off, I'll put this over the microphone. You gotta have that to really get a lot of popping, right? If you don't have that there, it gets all that heavy wind. My apologies. I like being a dork once in a while. I'm so pissed off with Taiwan right now. It's not funny. Taiwan eases restrictions on Japanese food imports imposed over Fukushima. Well, the only restrictions they had left was wild food. Everything else was already lifted. They're just using this to manipulate populations, right? And then the radiation gets passed on to their children that they have. One-eyed cyclops, babies with giant heads, twins attached by organs growing outside their bodies. A bit of a bummer. They respond to people around them, but they don't look like anything a human is. Taiwan lifts the Fukushima-related ban on Japan's food imports. This is symbiotic. They had already moved all the restrictions in 2020 after the referendum ran out from 2018. Right, we covered that extensively in 2018. There are no sparrows. There's no birds. And that gov't downtown area was void of any form of bird, not just sparrows. Same here on the East Coast and the West Coast. And that's quite a long ways past where they removed the restrictions on tea leaves, which is way past Tokyo, and Fukushima's way the frig up there. You're talking about 400 kilometers away or more. It killed all the birds up there and the insects. Professor, cleared at low level. There is some good professors that came out and originally warned you because they'd never seen this kind of event before, and so there's quite a few of them managed to make it out into the medias. But then for the last decade, it's been cut your throat every step of the day. Every day they cut your throat. Every day. Every day they're cutting your throat now for the last 10 years straight. It's clear that low-level contamination probably more dangerous than a single dose. Grasshoppers with deformed wings. Gray eyes are not red. Birds with abnormal sperm. Strange large tumors. Strange large tumors. In a nuclear wasteland. My goodness. What was going to happen next? Taiwan eases restrictions on Japanese food imports imposed on Fukushima. Again, it was symbiotic. They had already moved all the restrictions in 2020. Don't go to Taiwan. Fuck Taiwan. Taiwan's a piece of shit. Everyone on Earth has been irradiated by Fukushima. A shocking new study reveals the true extent of the global impact. Scientists are only just now confirming far-reaching effects. No, that was downplaying it. The whole story was, and it was the degenerate new scientists. Get your attention and then fuck you over. That's what they do. That's all they're good at. That's all they know how to do. That's what they were bred to do in universities, right? Fukushima plume model showed 1 million atoms a kilogram, or a square meter, over the west coast. This was the Xenon-133. Private emails revealed the highest levels of government worried about the health impacts. Nuclear industry tried to bury the truth. And UC Berkeley experts told the public there is no plume. Well, they did bury it. Go ahead and ask 100 people. Take a camera, go ahead and ask 100 people. Tell you a guaranteed fact about Fukushima. And the majority of them are going to tell you it's like a banana and a potato chip and walking in the sunshine. U.S. states hit with extremely large peaks of Fukushima radioactive material. Significant amount of plutonium released for months. No, it never stops splitting atoms. It's forever. All the fuel rods do it in all the reactor fuel pools worldwide. Radioactivity from the plant, Fukushima, measured globally and blanketed the entire Northern Hemisphere. Yeah, but it's like a banana, so go back to sleep. Nuclear gotta go because if they don't go, you go. Tokyo says Taiwan eases import restrictions on Japanese food. It was really interesting. You see, all the big shot medias will come out also and tell the lie, even though they told you a different story in 2011 and 12. They're coming out there now telling you nothing happened. Same media. And you can go see the other headlines on their sites. It's the strangest thing imaginable. Everything's contaminated. Over 200,000 atoms a kilogram of radioactive cesium in the dust from outside of Fukushima Prefecture. There's so much evidence that if there was any kind of responsibility in the academic and universities and journalism, the industry can never exist for a single second longer. The only way they can exist is if the journalists, academics, professors, and universities cut your fucking throat and lie to you every step of the way. And Hollywood plays a big part in it too. There's a black dust absolutely everywhere that's highly radioactive. It's everywhere and you can't avoid it. in the nuclear wasteland, right? Black radioactive material being reported 100 kilometers south of Fukushima Daiichi. 100 kilometers. Well, that's towards Tokyo, south. Taiwan eases restrictions in Japan. They made a big, there was a big circus they made out of that yesterday, wasn't it? All those headlines. We jumped on it last night. We're on it again tonight. It's okay to mock the nuclear industry because they'll murder you. West Coast hit with 228 million atoms, per liter of rainfall of iodine-129. It's going to be absurd numbers of everything else in that same sample. That's going to saturate the thyroid gland. It's going to be full body x-rays for all the species in the forest and the biosphere. Everything is going to be exterminated through sterilization, if nothing else. And that stuff in particular going to fit. This was an Ottawa study with a 15 million year half-life. Don't worry though. All the nuclear power plants are surrounded by farms on top of that. And that was out of Ottawa, Canada, the University of Ottawa. That study there. Plutonium escaped Fukushima reactors as a gas. It was a colossal 9,000 degree Fahrenheit temperatures inside. Can't be detected with a Geiger counter. Nuclear expert in Japan, plutonium is everywhere. It is everywhere after Fukushima reactors exploded. It's being redeposited in unanticipated locations. I mean, they're burning it in the incinerators and liberating it back into the ecosystem and the biosphere and into the jet streams. And it's running right into the Pacific Ocean. Idiot, moron, dummy, stupid, Taiwan eases restrictions on Fukushima food imports. Idiots. They're one of the few countries left in the position to say no. I couldn't wait to fucking sell you out. Fukushima nuclear plume covered most of North America. Covered all of it. There is nothing it didn't cover. It's really shocking how gullible the consumer, not people that are here regularly, but the consumer is. It's frightening, actually. Bear with me 1 second here. Water cannons can't spray the reactors. Yeah, because they disintegrate it right in front of everybody. Jesus. Bear with me. Plutonium-239 covered the entire planet in 20 days, according to that study, based on TEPCO's flawed numbers. I'm not angry. I'm desperate for this planet to wake up. I might seem angry. You ain't see me angry. You don't want to see me angry. I should be angry. I should be ashamed of myself for not being angry. Like, this is not a game. What they're doing to you, and they're only getting away with it because you let them. You won't hold them accountable. You won't get out there and get in their faces. It's frightening. You can say I hate the nuclear industry. That would be downplaying it. Just trying to get back on track here. Bear with me. Because one of the problems, if I double click and hold down on the mouse, whatever depiction that I was going to bring into the conversation will move to the bottom of the window that I'm using. And I had 8 windows on each side, and each one can hold around 10,000. of these depictions. And so the worst thing can happen to me is that it's not where it's supposed to be when I go looking for it. And it's only the reason so much exists is because we've been at it for so long. A lot of people take it for granted, right? I've been here for so long. I'm not always going to be here, and that's my biggest fear. The world needs to get its act together. It needs to rise up above what it thinks it can do. It's hard to comprehend how much power you are as a person, and how powerful your voice is. You might have the most squeakiest voice, the most loudest voice, or just the most meek voice. It doesn't matter. It's your persona. It's your conviction. You come out. You had 100 people come out tomorrow, shoot a little 30-second, 1-minute video, and say, "Nuclear industry is a bunch of fucking arseholes," whatever. The nuclear industry would melt down for a month straight. It couldn't handle criticism. It can't handle it. Look what they're doing to me. You don't need to be fancy, big desk, and all kinds of gimmicks. David got them. And nothing comes easy. Like everything I'm doing, you might think it's easy, but it's not. It seems easy, right? When you don't know any better. Because I put a lot of work into doing the things I'm doing and making it look natural. Yeah, I could be out there protesting. My idea of protesting is to create a million little fuckers just like me. That's my idea of protesting. A million little bastards just like me that nobody in the nuclear industry is going to pull the fucking wool over on. When you walk away from these shows, you are nobody's fucking fool. There's nobody in the nuclear industry going to beat you in a fucking debate, period. When it comes to nuclear, you are the best. Make no mistake about it. And I have armed you with so much documentation. You've just never been challenged. You get someone from the nuclear industry and they try to fuck you over, it's going to backfire in a whole different way. Spider-Man and the Hulk doesn't work against you, okay? All the propaganda machines created by the nuclear industry, like Superman and Wonder Woman and whatever that one is. The Wolverine is totally immune to radiation, right? Created by radiation. You got all these superheroes displace the real hero, which is you. And you don't need a fucking cape. They even got GoPro hero and Guitar Hero, just to make sure that aunts and uncles and grandparents can't be a hero. Not even parents can be a hero anymore. These people should be held accountable. And in the old fucking days, we used to hold them accountable. They didn't get away with jack shit. In the old days, we got rid of these problems. And now all common sense has gone down a black hole, right?
That's the last time you'll slap your willy around.
I don't know. Don't even ask me. Oh. I can bring you all kinds of bling. Is that what you want? I can give you the bling. I got the bling, baby. You have no idea how much bling I can bring.
Eh? Aspetta. No? Magari no. No? Huh, okay. Eh? Tagliami il culo! Por aqui! know, oh, toka.
If that's your thing, right? High radiation levels around the plant prevented helicopters from dumping water on the spent fuel pool. March the 16th. High radiation levels doesn't quite do it justice. These were catastrophic numbers. The reactors were detonating. They were ejecting reactor cores and fuel pools full of reactor cores into the environment. And right from the get-go, they worked on the cover story. It was denial, denial, denial. For the last week and a half, we've been covering a lot of the stories, the original stories. It's quite fascinating, really. Radiation is streaming into the atmosphere after number 4 fuel pool boiled dry in a fire. Well, number 4, I'll show you a picture of. That was the one where the journalist said they were at the fuel pool earlier. That's number 4 to your left. And so the reactors were 190 feet, not 30 feet. And at the top of the buildings were 2 fuel pools for the decades of reactor cores and the reactor core. At reactor 4, they were doing maintenance, so about 2/3 of the reactor core was still in the reactor. Taiwan is so stupid. They just sat there and let them happen. I'll give them credit. Last year they were out protesting tritium. They're so complacent they were actually protesting tritium. We covered all the stories, right? And South Korea, Taiwan, China, and Japan are working together with the International Atomic Energy Agency to manipulate the Asian countries. And I think it's a 100% success rate by the looks of it. When you see me upset like this, because I'm upset. When you see me mad and angry and lashing out, it's because I'm upset. Because I'm heartbroken. Because here goes another 60, 70 million victims to the nuclear industry. It's really something. The amount of cowards in the nuclear industry never ceases to amaze me. After over 2 decades, I'm still shocked. You think I get used to it, right? You see it all day, every day. That's what I do all day, every day, because I can't sit in silence. I don't know how to sit there in silence. I couldn't do it. I don't understand. Oh, I guess I do, but over 30,000 square kilometers in Japan blanketed by radioactive cesium. When you see the A in cesium, that's the British influence. This is Australia. Broadcasting Corporation. Australia, the pro-nuclear community in Australia and Great Britain are probably the worst. Canada's next. Canada's brutal scumbags. Don't worry, nuclear scientists got your back, Dana. They'll protect you. 2011, November 27th, almost 1 million times more radioactive fall in Ibaraki soil than in 2009, and that's a low estimate. You can't go back to these nuclear wastelands. You can't go back there. Shocking. The official made it mandatory to use Fukushima rice in school lunches. Imagine using food from a nuclear meltdown zone, a no-go zone, an evacuated zone, in school lunches. Another boo-boo. Another boo-boo. Here, we'll get it. We'll get back there. It's like Russian roulette. Only 10% of the school lunches in Fukushima tested for radiation. 70% of the children in Kanto, which is an area of Tokyo, have radiation in their urine. If they check their blood, it'll be in their blood. If they check their stool, it'll be in their stool. If they check their clothing, it'll be in their clothing. They can't get away from it. It's airborne. 4,000 atoms a kilogram in the fog. It never disappears. So how is the food not going to be radioactive? And then you're going to ship that, to Taiwan? What did Taiwan ever do to Japan to deserve that? They helped cover up Fukushima. You think you leave them alone. They turn on everybody, right? Taiwan, the world's stupidest country today. Government sessions reveal 400,000 times normal. Xenon-133 was 450,000 times normal in Washington and in the North America continent in the studies we got. I can't remember her name. I love that lady who does those studies there. She got an incredible reputation. And she updated the 20,000 deaths right away after Fukushima in the United States. People dropped just of heart attacks, dropping extra heart attacks. And that was associated, of course, with radioactive plumes coming in. Continuous plumes. Officials admit a deadly Fukushima meltdown cover-up. We lied about the meltdowns. It was a cover-up. It was a grave issue. It's an unprecedented nuclear disaster and as bad as it gets. An unpardonable breach of trust. And then everybody went straight back to sleep. And the next one come out the next day and said, don't worry, though, it's like a banana. Yellow rain recently reported in Tokyo also happened after Chernobyl. Highly radioactive glass rained on Tokyo, actually. Fukushima nuclear fuel, and I remember it was snowing. The tsunami victims were on the tops of buildings, right? And it was snowing. Remember those videos? You can go up and look them up right now. It was radioactive. That was knocking the radiation out of the air at the same time, right? 500 trillion atoms a kilogram found significant health consequences for humans. Our idea of health implications should change. Do not discuss it on social media. Just done it again, man. Bear with me, get back on track here. I'll get there. Bear with me. Tokyo drinking water is unsafe for infants. Let me delete the stuff we've done already because when I make a mistake, it's hard to find my way back. And actually, let me just put that somewhere else because I gotta save some of that, and it's causing me a problem right now. Here we go. And we're almost ready. Here we go again. Over 60 million Japanese irradiated by Fukushima. Nuclear expert, 50,000 square miles of Japan is highly contaminated. Millions need to be evacuated. The government has decided to sacrifice them, which means everybody who eats the food will be sacrificed too, right? And we're on YouTube, so I can't say what I want to say. Tea leaves, 2,700 atoms a kilogram, picked by children. The whole story is absurd. Japan bans radioactive green tea 40 miles southwest of Fukushima. Radioactive tea above legal limits 100 miles southwest. You're going away from Fukushima. You're gone 240 kilometers to get to Tokyo and another 100 kilometers. It's crazy, right? Japan should be abandoned. And we got quite a few academics originally talking about that. Western Tokyo may be contaminated when radiation plume fell to the ground after number 2 reactor core was exposed. So that's quite an interesting story, isn't it? Let me explain it to you. So, this is why I hate media so much. So, they're saying because that reactor core was exposed when the reactor core fell to the ground. But reactor 4 doesn't even exist. Reactor 1 ejected the reactor core right out of the building. Eight of them from the fuel pools. But we're worried about reactor 2. Reactor 4 is on one side. You know what's on the other side of reactor 2? Is reactor 3. There's reactor 3 on one side, reactor 4 on the other side, but they're worried about reactor 2. How can you trust media that does stuff like that? That's degenerate Japanese media, so it's no big surprise. That ejected the reactor core right out of the buildings. And we have the videos and pictures of the original detonation. It ejected the reactor core right out of the building. Big chunk of ice is all I got there now. I gotta get up. Go get some ice. That means I need a little video to cover the next 30 seconds. Let me see what I can find here. Let me find a video we haven't played for a while. It's a very short video. It's sad because we got so much, right? The whole story's crazy. And the whole legacy of the nuclear industry is actually crazy. That's kind of long. I won't use that one. Okay, we're almost there. Oh, that's where that video is too. This is the nuclear industry. It's a very small group of people. That's Kathleen Higley over there, one of the worst humans imaginable. That's TEPCO's useful idiot right there. It's Kyle Vetter from Berkeley. The guy with the one-armed bandit there at the black suit and tie is Miles O'Brien. The lady in the white is an ex-Nuclear Regulatory Agency leader. And the other guy was the press club itself. And Kathleen Higley, of course, is a serial killer and a professor for nuclear. But she's also a serial killer. She kills people with radiation in the local hospitals and the university, right? And their prime example, she explains the IAEA, UNSCLEAR, ERPA, the IPRC, they're the same group of people. Same gray-haired group of people, and there's about 100 of them. And they're the ones who are making the policies for your communities and your hospitals and the doses that killed your loved ones in the hospitals and your children in the hospitals with that die from radiation. Because that's what they do with you when you got cancer. They kill you in the hospital with the radiation. You got the cancer from radiation, and then they use radiation to kill you. I'm going to try to adjust the volume once she gets rolling here.
When I was trying to pull this talk together, not only will I sort of get a little philosophical about the impacts and the like and try to put things in context, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about who are these radiation experts that get trotted out in events like this or that get to participate in various activities and analysis to make pronouncements about is something safe or not safe. And if you look, you'll see organizations that are often represented. The ICRP, International Commission on Radiological Protection, a premier organization. You'll see UNSCEAR and ERPA. So UNSCEAR is the United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation. ERPA, the International Radiation Protection Association. The IAEA and some of its folks, the International Atomic Energy Agency. Our own U.S. NCRP. And then there are a number of other organizations. So there's PAHO, there's the Health Physics Society, there's World Health Organization. All of these will bring in, as necessary, experts to speak to you on issues related to radiation protection, radiation safety, and impacts. But if you go a little deeper and you start looking at these organizations, the ICRP, for example, very well known, it's been operating nearly 100 years, not quite. Main commission, 10 people. It's got 5 standing committees, so it's 100-ish folks. I lead one of the 5 committees. If you look at the United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation that looked at the effects from Chernobyl, from Fukushima, from other areas, and that has about 30, roughly, countries that are represented in that group. If you start teasing through these pictures, you're going to see the same people on every one of those organizations. So the same people from ICRP are on UNSCEAR, they're in ERPA. If you look at the NCRP, again, the US organization that advises the country on radiation protection issues, it's 100 people, a lot of gray-haired 100 people. And most of them are part of UNSCEAR, are part of ERPA, are part of ICRP, participate in IAEA. So the result, or the real world, is that there's not that many folks that really do radiation safety, radionuclide transport, dose calculations, all of this in the world. It's a pretty small club, and we wear 20 hats. Today I put on 3 pins, and I could put on a whole bunch more, but Health Physics Society, ICRP, Certified Health Physicist, I've got NCRP on there, I've done IAEA, and so the point is, we're a small group, you should cherish us.
How did all the journalists know how they should laugh right there? How did they all know that was funny? Look at them all laughing. Look at Kyle Vetter, a big smile on his face. Miles O'Brien with a big smile on his face. The NRC, ashamed of herself, still laughing. How did all these journalists at the National Press Club know to laugh? Because they've done it hundreds of times, folks. You were making a serious mistake letting these monsters get away with this. 27,000 atoms a kilogram cesium in a kindergarten. Cesium. The biggest byproduct of radiated fuel rods, by the way, is curium, not cesium. In curium, you need lead shielding 20 times thicker than you do for plutonium. The whole world is crazy. It just sits there and lets this industry destroy everything. There's no need to do that. Authorities hid the radioactive plume forecast to avoid evacuation. Of course they did. It's the nuclear industry. What's the most cowardly thing to do? That's what they're going to do. Or that's what they've done. Government simulation showed a radioactive plume of Krypton-85 over Tokyo. If you got a plume of Krypton-85, you got a plume of everything else. It's unbelievable when you see the omissions. 3,000 plus microsieverts, 3 millisieverts of internal radiation for residents in a town 40 kilometers. No, that's not microsieverts, it's physical atoms. Microsieverts is close to the site where the fuel is emitting gamma shines, X-rays, neutron bombardment, beta rays. If you're getting microsieverts or millisieverts far away, you're breathing in hideous amounts. You're drinking in your water hideous amounts. 13,648 children out of 38,000 had thyroid tumors of 2 centimeters. Their thyroid is only 1 by 2 centimeters. Ours is only 2 by 3, or 3 by 5. That means producing radioactive hormones for the rest of their lives. So imagine what's happening to the insects, the birds, the mammals, the animals, and all the other species. Japanese, on average, exposed to 100 microsieverts a year of internal radiation from Fukushima. Internal. Like when they were looking at the cows, they were only looking at external doses. That's what they done with Hiroshima and Nagasaki victims too, by the way. Internal radiation dose of around 80 microsieverts per hour. Again, using the word microsieverts and millisieverts is not helpful at all. It's physical atoms. It's physical atoms. Another Fukushima farmer in the exclusion zone is already bad as Chernobyl. Already as bad as Chernobyl. Chernobyl was a single reactor. All 20 calves born at a farm were stillbirths, 60 kilometers from Fukushima. They found plutonium in every sample. It's everywhere on paved surfaces, Minnesota. It's everywhere. Over 100 cattle have died at a farm since 3/11. That's 2012. Farmer calls it the Fukushima syndrome, appropriately. By the way, Fukushima beef is being shipped to United States restaurants 2012. Fukushima exports the first beef in 30 months. So in 2012, they were shipping radioactive food from a nuclear wasteland to your country. Why though? Well, because you don't want to kill everybody in their own country. Because the industry is just evil. If it's evil, let's do that. That's the routine. Radioactive cattle found near Fukushima in the event of a nuclear Armageddon. Don't eat the steaks. Newborns and fetuses are concentrating contamination, so your children are you're genetically passing it on to your children. Radioactive silver found inside of all 47 cows tested from Fukushima evacuation zone. Why would you ship food to Taiwan or anywhere else? The nuclear industry has done everything they can to make sure you don't learn any of this. 1,000 years from now, contaminated water from Fukushima may be still entering the Pacific Ocean. But don't worry, it's like a banana. Indoor mushrooms. Mushrooms are the worst than berries. Contain 1,800 becquerels of kilogram of radioactive cesium. Government is determining the cause. Well, what else could it be? Only Fukushima. Like, government is determining the cause after you had 36 reactors detonate. Like, the word government is insane. Academics are insane. Journalists are insane. Fukushima farmer, I'm full of rage. I refuse to leave and let go of the anger and the grief. And people in Tokyo don't know what's really happening. I'm completely contaminated. Don't worry, they'll roll out apologists. They'll have all kinds of bling and tell you, oh, don't worry, it's all good. I'll keep an eye on it for you so you don't have to worry. Cow meat with high levels of radiation now circulating all over Japan. Cattle had previously only been screened for radioactivity on their skin. It's hard to comprehend. 80 years of telling you it's like a banana has got you to the point now where there's nothing safe to drink, eat, or breathe. Cattle sick and dying. We call it the Fukushima syndrome. Severe diarrhea, skin problems, weakened immune systems. Don't worry, Dan, it's like a banana. Hawaii farmers, dairy farmers fight radiation from Fukushima by feeding boron to cows and goats. There's literally nothing stupider than that statement. You're giving your cows and your goat boron, which is meant to stop a chain reaction in a fuel pool. How's that going? That's not a aggregator of radiation. It's going to stop a chain reaction inside the fucking cow? Don't worry, Dan, it's like a banana, a potato chip, and walking in fucking sunshine. Radioactive particles on the seafloor at over 1,000 times normal level. Don't worry, Dan, it's like a banana. Smoke was pouring out of reactor 1 before the tsunami hit. So the earthquake caused number 1 to melt down, not the tsunami. Don't worry, Dan, it's like flying on an airplane or climbing a mountain or eating bananas. Fukushima will start burning radioactive waste 100,000 becquerels a kilogram to be incinerated. They have 1 billion pounds of radioactive waste that they're going to incinerate. Why would you incinerate? You can't destroy radiation and incinerate it. You just liberate it back into the environment. Yeah, but it's like a banana, Dana, so don't worry about it. That's what they've been telling you your whole life. Why are you putting up with that? Workers are dumping radioactive waste from Fukushima into the rivers in Naraha, Lydiat, and Tamora. At 13 locations, workers were seen simply dumping collected soil and leaves as well as water used for cleaning. You can't clean radiation. Just dumping it into the rivers, into the lakes, into the streams, into the ocean. I have endless amount of documentation of that stuff. And then they come and tell you it's okay because it's like a banana. Very clear and present danger. New push to dump radioactive Fukushima water in the Pacific. Or boil it in large kettles. That was what's his face from 3 Mile Island? Lake Barrett. Lake and Arnie Gunnarsson. Man, what a scam they done, eh? Or boil it in large kettles and release steam into the atmosphere for years. That's what they done at 3 Mile Island, Lake Barrett and the rest of them. They said it was like a banana. There are cases, eh? At 3 Mile Island, 8,290 tons of water from 3 Mile Island was boiled twice in a device similar to a large kettle before being released via a 100-foot stack into the atmosphere, and it lasted for more than 2 years. They boiled it twice. And so they had the locals convinced if you boil it, you can sterilize radiation. That was Lake Barrett and Arnie Gunnarsson. You know, the ones that are telling you it's like a banana. That's what every journalist does. That's what every journalist looks like when he sees the banana. He's like, money! Nuclear industry is going to give me a fortune. Guardians on Fukushima workers. We felt like kamikaze pilots. Acute radiation sickness. Yeah, kamikaze pilots. Kamikaze homeless and destitute and victims of society pilots. Nuclear scientists don't go near Fukushima. Neither do journalists. I mean, that's the epitome of a journalist right there. It's unbelievable what the world calls a journalist. My goodness, they're disgusting, aren't they? Famous Japanese actress, government is covering up Fukushima. Our nation has a right to know, and people who write the truth on the internet will be punished under a new law. And TV stars in Japan are to never discuss political views. Report, Fukushima decontamination is proven futile. The truth is, scientifically, they will never clean it up. It's impossible. Well, they picked up 30 million one-ton bags and 3% of the land. Fukushima decontamination workers were threatened. We were punished if we tried to resist. I mean, it's horror. When you hear about the homeless and the destitute and the victims of society, these are horror stories, and we got tons of it. What they done to those people, my goodness. And the journalists were the ones that come out and cut your throat originally, right? We were told to only clean areas around radioactivity measurement sites. Radiation levels rise after decontamination. In some cases, radiation levels at homes had even increased after decontamination. You can't decontaminate a home. They went in with pressure washers and convinced the homeowners they were decontaminating it. You're just spreading it everywhere. You can't incinerate it, and you can't decontaminate it. It just simply can't be done. It's not supposed to exist on the planet. We were told to clean up only those areas around the measurement sites. They have one community with 3,000 Geiger counters in it, Fukushima City, or Koriyama City, I can't remember. With almost 300,000 people, they put in 3,000 Geiger counters, and the bags that these communities are surrounded by millions of one-ton bags of radiation they picked up. Every house in the community was entitled to decontamination, and the Geiger counters all said there was literally no radiation. And radiation measurements that they were running in microsieverts. I mean, instead of counts per minute, which is what you would expect, It's a whole level of evil that nobody would have predicted pre-Fukushima. There was no way to predict that the industry was capable of mass omnicide. That's what I see when I read a story about nuclear. That's my visual for a journalist, right? Everyone I'm out there cutting your throat right now. For the last 10 years, top nuclear official blocks interview with people over Fukushima exposures. Only allowed to talk to friendly government leaders. No matter how hard they try, radiation isn't going down. The interview with people over Fukushima, some had hoped that the decontamination project, employing thousands of temporary homeless workers, to strip trees, spray roads, and remove topsoil would be enough. Like, how could you think that was effective? Like, how can anybody be that complacent that it's easy because you listen to TV or you watch Hollywood? You'll get sucked right into this well-orchestrated, like, we know there's over 1,000 public relation firms the nuclear industry uses to protect themselves. But what we notice is that every academic on the planet is happy to cut your throat. And I mean that in the most true sense of the word. There's not a nuclear scientist on the planet that looked at reactor 3 and said the fuel pools reactor cores were at the top of the buildings, and there's not one of them that come out and told you that. So you got every academic in the nuclear industry worldwide knew the fuel pool was gone and knew the reactor core was gone. Not one of them come out and talk to you. Not one of them came out and explained it to you. Not one. Not a single fucking one worldwide. Not one. And if you didn't hear it here, you wouldn't hear it anywhere else. If that's not frightening, what the fuck is? Besides, whatever that is, journalists. Government models showed Fukushima radioactive gas near Tokyo skyrocketed 10 billion times normal. So 36 million people in metropolitan Tokyo unequivocally should have evacuated. It never goes away. And a very high concentrations recorded at all monitoring posts in the Northern Hemisphere. So you should have evacuated all of Canada, all the United States, and all of Japan. Just for first round. And all the species. And you think I'm kidding? I'm not. High concentrations of radiation hit the U.S. and Canada. Plume was rich in cesium-137 and close to the surface. It was 1 million to 10 million atoms of cesium-137, according to the French government. Oh, God, what did I do with that? Oh. Radiation levels in the U.S. West Coast spiked. A million times normal after Fukushima. This was the French study I showed you earlier. 1 million to 10 million atoms per cubic centimeter of air. Cesium, by the way, not only destroys your autoimmune defense, but it destroys everything else, including your heart muscle. It's not slow acting. U.S. government model of Fukushima cesium-137 particles covering the Northern Hemisphere was another headline on that. That was NOAA. There was another, this one, the cesium plume forecast for North America and Europe up to March the 24th. And France's IRSN was that model in your top. That model up there. I'm going to play that one for you. And that story came out on March the 19th. That's that model there was March the 19th. I'm going to dig it out for you. I already played it earlier. That should have been up there in that pile. There's a lot of things I should have done, but Screwed up and went the wrong way. Hang on. It's absurd that they're able to get away with what they're doing. It's absurd that I'm going to get a couple of hundred views at best on the video. I'm going to have to spend a fucking month and fix this site. Fix my, because we had to start a new session a few days ago, right? So that's that model there. Based on 31 days. I added radioactive fallout in order to help try to drive the point home how much we're talking about at 1 million to 10 million atoms per cubic meter of air. This is roughly what 1 million to 10 million atoms per cubic meter of air looks like right now. And that's that model up there. And that model down here is Chernobyl. And that story is based upon March the 24th, up to March the 24th, but it was published on March the 19th. But the plume model, the radioactive fallout, here I got the other version there. This is without the radioactive fallout bonus added on. So this model goes all the way out to the 31st of, or the 1st, is it? Wait no. The 3rd of May. So it's 31 days out, basically. So 31 days, the whole planet is covered in 1 million to 10 million atoms per cubic centimeter, or cubic meter. And this stuff pulses energy. Each of these atoms are pulsing energy 600 feet. So there's so many of them, they're hitting each other. There's gammas there, there's alphas also there, there's neutrons there, there's betas there. And they're pulsing energy almost at the speed of light. When they hit each other, they don't mingle. They don't mingle. They change direction almost at the speed of light. You have two pulses of energy almost at the speed of light. Imagine what that's going to do to your chromosomes, your DNA, your cells, and everything else. So when they hit each other, they change direction. And that's known as the X-ray. So when I talk about how all the species in the forests and the meadows are getting full body X-rays, and what that does is many things, but it sterilizes them, makes them incapable of reproduction. And so over a few years, when the adults finally die, there's nothing left to reproduce. Right? They might have a few generations, but those generations won't be able to, most of them won't be able to reproduce. And the plume covered most of North America. High concentrations of radiation hit the U.S. and Canada. And I just showed you the plume was rich in cesium-137. Human embryos in the United States are likely bioaccumulating radioactive iodine, cesium, strontium, uranium, curium, americium, neptunium, strontium. Japan detects extraordinary high levels of radioactivity off Sendai. So why would you go to Taiwan? Why would you go to Taiwan? I only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more to get through. And that'll be the show tonight. Government refused to provide funds to research Fukushima effects. Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking because my other YouTube channel, I could have fundraisers and we were able to do lots of things, right? But now we can't even keep up with everything. Virtual zero monitoring. Now, I was out on the ocean for years and there was nobody else out there doing research expeditions and reporting on it. Disconcerting how big of an event Fukushima was and how little data is actually out there. Japan Times, there could be hot spots under the sea. There was actually reactor fuel assemblies, which is 100 fuel rods, ejected right into the ocean. They actually cemented that whole port. China syndrome is inevitable, said the architect of Fukushima reactor number 3. Warns of massive hydrovolcanic explosion. The melted fuel inevitably sank underground. Well, the Earth split in 6 places, and the steam coming out of the ground is at 10 sieverts per hour. These are up on absurd numbers because the Geiger counter maxed out at 10 sieverts, which are stationary Geiger counters, permanent Geiger counters, right? And they once you hit those numbers, they break. But the steam kept coming out, and everybody had to abandon the site because this is lethal doses. If the steam hits you, it's death. It'll make its own horror movie, just that facet of it, from the China syndrome. Groundwater is likely source for continuing flow of radiation into the ocean, a complete melt-through. Not surprising that the discharges continues. Nuclear industry, we got 3 more to get through. Nuclear industry. Fukushima spent fuel was damaged. Well, it wasn't damaged. It was ejected right out of the fucking building. Radioactive plankton are so heavily contaminated that the food chain fears continuously carried southward from Fukushima. It covers the whole planet in just a short period of time, right? TEPCO began coating the seafloor with cement mixture. And that should have been up right there with that one, right? I'll put that over my ship pile I got right there in front of me. The endless pile of whole fucking shit. TEPCO begins coating the seafloor with cement mixture because it's like a banana, right? It's like a potato chip. It's like walking in the sunshine, ain't it? Yeah. Well, that's it for Dana. You have a great night. Let's come and close the poll down. Where's the poll? There's your rolls. Should you avoid Taiwan now that they are poisoning everyone with deadly radioactive food? I can't go anywhere until I got 30 thumbs up at least. I'm not leaving till I'm not ending the show till we got 30 thumbs up. Somebody who hasn't given me a thumb up, got to give me a thumb up. A like. Give me a like. How did we do? We're an hour and 40 minutes or something in? That was further than I thought I was going to get. Pretty burnt out. There we go. We got 30 thumbs up. Way to go. Thank you. Yep. Alrighty. Don't go to Taiwan. That's the one thing we learned tonight. Taiwan is like a fucking plague. Alrighty. So if you make it this far later, you're watching this later, you make it this far, give us a thumbs up. If you can, it'd be appreciated. I'll see everybody. You never know, I could be back tomorrow, but we'll see everybody Sunday, hopefully, for sure. We do our shows typically Sunday to Thursday. And people can donate. In the bottom of the descriptions, you'll see directly to PayPal. Dana Durnford is directly to me, and my website is directly to me. We'll see everybody on the next nightmare. These are all nightmares, I get it. Nothing I can do about it. And we're going to play Countdown Charlie, who stalked us for 10 years. And James Lucid has got a contest. He's got an anti-nuclear song in the contest. You'll find a link below my video. So you can go give that a listen. Contest is up, I believe, on the 30th or something. And we're going to play one of his songs he produced early on when he was learning. And this is a fun song. It's got a great beat. We'll catch everybody on the next one. Have a great night, everybody.
In the Tokyo Bureau, swirling smoke and neon beams. Chicago division, fueled by heated dreams. Calm down, Charlie calls in. voice smooth as silk, says, Dana, you're dreaming, don't cry over spilt milk. On Dana Durnford show, the chatter's turning wild, but Charlie shoots it down with that cool cat style. Unit 3's no killer, no harm to see life. He chuckles in the static, cuts through the strife. Oh, calm down, Charlie, with his nuclear charm. He says starfish are just fine, there's no alarm. His words dance on airwaves with a confident glow. Calm down, Charlie steals the whole radio show. With a snap and a grin, Charlie's voice so clear scatters the dread, dispels all the fear. Mux didn't hurt, he croons with a sigh. Science is for thinkers, not a whim or lie. Though Dana and the crowd may shout and roar, Charlie's unfazed, he's heard it all before. His swinging rationale, like a soothing song, says, hold on to logic, we gotta stay strong. Oh, calm down, Charlie, with his nuclear charm. He says starfish are just fine, there's no alarm. His words dance on airwaves with a confident glow. Calm down, Charlie steals the whole radio show.